You know, I've had roommates, and you try to be mindful. You
Yeah.
know, but as a guy, like I'm not the one usually making a bunch of noise.
Usually.
Girl's making a lot of noise. Like how am I supposed to stop that? You know, but she's the girl. She has noisy sex.
Yeah, because these days you can't put your hand over her mouth or like cover her with a pillow because then you could open yourself up for a Me Too movement later on.
Yeah, that's just not a good solution at all.
Not with a stranger, not like a first night.
Like when we went to that comedy show, that guy was like, "Oh, this guy has sex a lot,"
He did say that. That shit was funny too.
and he was like, "Oh, this guy has sex a lot all the time." Like he's like, he probably fucked just before he came here, and I was just like, he was like, "Oh, he agreed." I'm like, "What do you want me to say?" Like, oh no,
great,
not
though.
me.
Listen, if you guys ever get a chance to go to a comedy show that's like a roast comedy show where you get a chance to make fun of the comedians, highly recommend. It's fun.
Yeah,
It's fun.
There's a lot of comedy shows in the area too. Definitely gonna go to more stateside, of course. You know, this summer. But yeah, I guess one last thing we can get into is this one woman who she went to Reddit, man.
Mm-hmm.
She was upset because her roommate was having too much sex, like, and it was loud sex. Like,
That's hate. That's hate.
You think it's hate? I mean, there's three of them in the apartment, three women, you know, varying from their late 20s to early 30s. You know, recently, so she writes, recently, one of my roommates started bringing home men and having sex extremely loud, you know, and every, like two a week, she said. Two guys a week. She said after the first time, and the other roommate tried to make light of it and told her she needed to chill out if we're gonna be home. She's having sex. It seriously sounds like a Brazzers set. She said it's a small apartment and all their bedrooms are right next to each other. She said that after like 5 or 6 times dealing with this in a month, they sort of blew up at her because they thought it was extremely disrespectful for her to carry on like that. You know, being very loud, where she knew they were home. You know, they confronted her, and she basically told them that she cannot have sex, like being quiet. That she tried to be quieter, but she's not making any promises. And she also mentioned that they need to grow up because they're all adults, man. You know, the comments were pretty much split on this.
I'm sure. I mean, listen, in my opinion, there's levels to it. And I'm not talking about like the levels of her screams. Like it's definitely about the amount of times that this is happening. 5 or 6 times in a month is not a lot to me.
I mean, but I don't know.
Because if she was in a relationship, I don't think they would be judging her the same way. I think it because she's picking up guys, or maybe she's dating a few guys or something like that, that they got a problem with it.
Well, if she was in a relationship, they would know who the guy was, one. Secondly, she'd probably split more time going to his place and not bringing people back home. So those are two big differences.
I mean, but 1 or 2 times a week?
But they're saying they're different guys every time. And you have to think there's two women, you know. They're like, who are these guys you bringing home banging your brains out while we're home?
But why is that their business?
Because they all live together.
But if it's her choice to bring somebody back, granted, yes, they live together. Maybe they don't want like a strange guy coming into the place or something like that. But I feel like you got to set those ground rules early on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like it's strange, you know, like having roommates and such. And you know, I've had roommates, and you try to be mindful. You know? But as a guy, like I'm not the one usually making a bunch of noise.
Usually.
No, I don't. But you know, if a girl's making a lot of noise, like how am I supposed to stop that? You know, but she's the girl. She has noisy sex.
Yeah, because these days you can't put your hand over her mouth or like cover her with a pillow because then you could open yourself up for a Me Too movement later on.
Yeah, that's just not a good solution at all.
Not with a stranger, not like a first night. You can't do that.
You can't. So yeah, so it's just like, all right. And honestly, like I understand both sides, but I think, hey, when you're living with someone else, like you gotta understand that you're sharing space, and if someone wants to have sex, you gotta kind of deal with it. Like, it is
For
what it
real.
is. Like, we are all adults, and you know, if you are so bothered by that, then get your own fucking space, or you know, live with a bunch of nuns or something. Like, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think there is a balance that you got to find, but 5 to 6 times a month, to me, that's not a lot. It's really not.
But if it's 5 or 6 different guys, I can understand them complaining.
To me, I really don't think that should make a difference to the other person.
I mean, I think, I don't know, it depends. Because I wouldn't want, well, I don't know. I'm on the girl side. I'm on the slutty girl side, 100%. Because, like, she pays rent, you know. She's not doing nothing to put them, like, they're not complaining about, you know, being in danger, the guy doing anything to them. They're just complaining about the noise. So if there's more to it, then I'd be more sympathetic. But them just being mad about the noise, like, put some headphones on, put some earplugs on, fucking, you know, they're probably just hating because they're not getting.
That's what I think this is. Honestly, at the end of the day, that's why I'm saying I don't think they would have a problem if it was like her boyfriend and this happened once or twice a week. But it's because it's different guys. She's picking them up, like she's doing what she does in her space, in her room, and she getting turned out. She in there yelling and stuff and screaming and everything like that. So. It's so funny that this article came up though after Joe Budden was talking about that squirt and shit. But but yeah, I just don't. I feel like if it's more than once or twice a week, then you definitely need to lay down the law with the roommate.
Yeah.
Because then that's not fair. You're disturbing everybody, especially if it's at night and things like that. But once or twice a week, you got to get over it. That or like you said, once that lease is up, go get your own spot. That way you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, you always gotta, when you're sharing space, you gotta, you know, figure out these things. It's not easy. Like, you know, I lived with my sister for years, and you know, you gotta be mindful when you live with your family.
That's true. That's true.
Only one time, like, she did text me. She was like, "Oh, I hear you. This is disturbing." I'm like, "Oh, well, that's over now." I can't keep doing this.
Wait, and y'all were roommates for like 2 years, right?
5 years.
Wait, that long?
Yeah, we were.
Time went by so quick.
I know. But yeah, I was pretty mindful, of course, during that period. Like, but
plus, then you could use the pillow. Just like, no, shut up.
I'm not saying anything like that. But I will say it is awkward when you share space with people and you know, do intimate things. I don't know. Have you guys ever had any weird moments with roommates at all, or had any noisy roommates?
Not since college for me.
Same. I had one bad college experience. Luckily, it was my last night on campus. I didn't have to deal with any tension or lingering tension because my roommate, you know, he was kind of like the girl in the story. He would bring home girls like every weekend, which I don't really care about. You know, as long as you're not loud, I think that's the thing that would kind of annoy me if it happened a lot. I'd be like, all right, like you're making me just uncomfortable a little bit. Like, just like, I don't care if you have people over, just like, you don't have to scream every single time. That would drive me crazy.
Well, it wasn't him, was it?
Well, it was the girl. But this one time, like, he brought a girl over and like they were being loud, but she was like kind of like moaning no. So I was like, I look at my other roommates and I was like, we got to say something. Like, we all heard the words no. So we knock on the door. We're like, hey, you guys good? They're like, yeah, we're good. She's like, hey, we're good. We're like, all right, cool. You know, just please keep it down and stop saying no because you're making us very uncomfortable. And they're like, okay, cool. We're going back, playing our games.
Start saying yes.
No, they do the same exact thing.
So wait, still saying no?
Yeah, still saying no. And I was like, all right, like now we're banging. They're like, yo, you really got to stop now because you're just making us uncomfortable. And like, we're going to have to bust. Like, I don't know what is happening, but yeah, it's 3 against 1 or whatever. So then they both come out and start yelling at me and my other two roommates. God. And it was just like everyone just yelling at each other. We're like, dude, we're just asking you guys to stop saying no. They were drunk. But they were like, hey, stop saying no and just be, you know, a regular, decent roommate. And it was just a whole big thing. They ended up leaving. I think they went back to her place or something. That's good. And I packed up and I got out there. I was like, thank God, this is the last night here. And I'm out. That was crazy.
That is, yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, I think you guys did the right thing, too. Yeah. Even though it's, like, super awkward and uncomfortable and, like, feels like an invasion or something.
Yeah.
If you can hear her loudly saying no over and over, I feel like you got to, like...
You have to say something.
Yeah.
At least check in.
Yeah, no.
Even though some...
Don't. Don't. It's like some things like Yeah,
I know.
You got to keep it in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Like, you can't, you can't involve other people with certain things. So, boundaries, people. But hey, people are human. They're gonna, hook up with other people and stuff. Things happen.
Yeah. And girls, when you mean yes or like keep doing that, don't say no. That's not fair.
Okay. If someone says no or anything with me, like I just stop. I'm like, it's not worth even playing along with. No.
You've never been in a situation where they say no and then you stop and they're like, no, keep going.
Not in a long time. Like like I swear, not in a long time. Because that shit freaks me out. Like, I don't like anything, like any hesitation. I'm like, whoa, like for real. Because I'm like, let's be clear. Because people don't communicate things. I'm like, are you good? Like, is everything good? For real, that shit, it kills the mood for me. I believe you. I believe that shit at all, yo. Like, I want to make sure everyone's cool. Even the people who hear it. Are you guys good? Oh my God. But yeah, let us know, guys. Do you agree? Do you think that the roommate's wrong? Do you think that she has every right to have loud, brazzers sex whenever she wants because she pays rent? I feel like there's a balance. I feel like these girls, her roommates, I don't know, to wait that long to kind of explode and confront her. You should have just told her to begin with. Maybe, okay, we hear you, maybe keep it down and try to work on it. But I don't know. These things are hard, but that's why I live alone now. Yeah. That's it. That's the only advice I can give. But
listen, that was me after I finished school too. Nothing worse than being in your sister's basement trying to keep quiet, and the vents go directly upstairs. It's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. It's a lot of people around. It's just like, it's not the same. But we all grow up, and hopefully get your own space. But
and listen, when you live in a city or like New York, there's plenty of people that still have roommates. They're like 30 years old.
For sure. And shout out to them. I mean, everyone trying to get it. However you get it, people gotta hear it. It is what it is. But man, I'm sure that's a common thing. I feel like guys kind of handle it a lot different than girls.
Oh,
honestly.
for sure.
I don't think guys care that much.
No.
Maybe Joe Budden says he loves hearing his friends do shit like that. He'll be outside the door. So
that's a nasty dude.
Subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on Spotify, follow on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok,
all the apps. We're everywhere. We are everywhere.